Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessie. If you are new here, I do all kinds of lifestyle videos, motherhood vlogs. I am a mom to two under 2.5, a stay-at-home mom, but I also like to share some of our debt story and personal finance. So if you're interested in like motherhood content, personal finance content, make sure you subscribe. I would love to have you. Today's video though is a much awaited explanation of why we decided to pay off some debt. We paid off, let me see if I can figure out exactly how much, $13,202 of debt the other day. And if you guys have watched any of my other debt videos, you know that we have been very vocal about why we're not paying off any debt. We want to buy a house. We want to do all these things. We want to have a big savings. And then lo and behold, we change our mind very quickly and do things like that. And that's what you can do when it's your money. It was something that was really important to us to figure out. Here's the explanation. I'm going to tell you what we paid off, why we paid that off, and what changed our mind, what's going on. A couple of you have asked with like, so how are you going to buy a house? Are you going to move out of Illinois? Any of that. So I'm going to do that as well. Starting with what we paid off and how much it was. Like I said, $13,202 is about what we paid. We paid off our CarMax loan, which is the loan on our car that we have. We only have one car. That loan in particular was $5,740.89. It actually was a fairly low interest rate, but the payment each month was $250. So one of our higher payments, that's still not bad for a car loan, honestly. We wanted to get money back into our budget, basically. So I'll explain that in a minute. We also paid off one of Ben's student loans. This one was a higher payment plus a high interest rate. There was $7,461.13 that we paid off on that loan. So we still have 3 student loans left, one of them being Ben's student loan. We pay about $113 a month on that one, and it is at $8,700 is how much is left. My 2 student loans, one of them is $165.26, and that one still has $15,000 left. And then my other student loan is $322.61 a month. However, that loan is my biggest loan, and it is just under 30 grand. It's $29,643. So that one is just going to take a little bit to pay off. It might be with us for a long time unless we get like a big up in income. Those are the loans we chose based on what would bring our monthly payment down the most, obviously ignoring my $322 payment because that one just wasn't possible. We didn't have 30 grand to pay off this loan, you know. Moving on, I'm looking at my screen right now. If you see me looking over here, that took about $13,000 out of our savings account, which means it dropped our savings account significantly, and that's probably what we would have put down on a down payment on a house. The reason that we decided to do this in general is because we were looking at our budget every month, which I've talked to you guys about in my budgeting videos. I'll link my last one here. That we were trying to lower our expenses everywhere that we could. And granted, were there areas that we could be better about? Of course there were. But some of the areas we couldn't. Like, we pay so much money for rent living here in Illinois, which is our biggest expense. It's a big reason that we wanted to buy or get out of Illinois in general, just based on how expensive it is. It's just not something that we can do right this second. So instead of draining our savings for the next few months from like $500+ a month, you'll see my April budget recap, we took a lot out of savings. Yeah, we just needed a way to lower our monthly payment, and Ben and I were talking about it one day and decided that it made sense to hold off on purchasing a home, pay off 2 of our debts to bring our monthly payments down. The reason that we did that, and there's still a chance, like if something magical happens and we find like the right opportunity that we might buy this year, it just would put us in a very low savings area. For example, we have about $16,000 in our savings right now. So if we had to put $15,000 on a house, that's not something that we're comfortable doing. But if we somehow are able to build our savings account really high in the next few months and then we come across a good opportunity, maybe we'll still go for it. But we're about 90% sure that we're not purchasing this year because, quite honestly, we were looking at it from a couple of different avenues. So purchasing in Illinois is literally impossible for us for what we need. Not only is state income tax, or not income, like property tax, outrageous here. For what you can get for your money, it is insane. I guess our budget is probably between $300,000 to $350,000. In Illinois, first of all, it's really hard to even find a property that is that much. We want a standalone home. We do not want a townhome or anything like that. That's just not what we're looking to invest in. That cuts out quite a bit of places. And then we want to be in a safe area in certain pockets. We don't need to be in like a nice area, but we just want to be in a safer area that we enjoy. Yeah, everything that we found is at least $350. Most of it's way higher. Anything within our budget, like there's nothing even below $350. And the things that are need a lot of work, and we would be paying the same amount, if not more, a month in monthly payments on a house. Plus then you have to include property tax being so expensive here, and that could be an additional like $500 to $500 a month, if not more than that we would be paying toward property tax in the whole scheme of things. So I might not be like exact with these numbers, but it's looking fairly impossible for us to stay in Illinois, even if we wanted to. And you guys know that we don't really want to. We love our family here. That will be the hardest part, especially my sister-in-law is like my girl. I'm obsessed with her. I want her to be with us all the time. She's basically like an additional piece of our family, and leaving Illinois will break all of our hearts. Especially leaving her. We also have family in Wisconsin, like my family lives in Wisconsin. Ben's other like brother and sister-in-law who we've gotten really close with live there. Ben's mom and dad live here, so it would not be easy. It's the whole reason that we moved back here from Raleigh. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands today. At the same time, our focus needs to be on providing the life that we want for our kids. And with that, we want stability. We don't want to be moving constantly. If we could rent in Illinois for $2,000 a month for what we're looking for, Ben works from home, so he needs space only for him that's quiet. So that means we have to have at least a 3-bedroom home. We have dogs, so we need a yard, things like that. But if we could rent for like $2,000 a month or even less than that, we would rent long-term here, even though that's not what we want. Like in the grand scheme of things, we would love our own home that we own and we can do whatever we want with, but we would totally rent and stay here if we could find that, but you cannot. And if you know something that I don't, to let me know. But to find a standalone home with any type of yard in a safe area with 3 bedrooms, that's not a complete piece of crap. You cannot find that to purchase here or to rent. What I don't understand, I don't understand how people are living here that haven't like purchased 100 years ago, so their house was much less than it is now, you know? Anyways, that is my blab about that. We've looked at homes in Wisconsin, not only to rent or to purchase, but we would only be really interested in like the Madison area, but like the expanded Madison area, like within an hour of Madison. It's also really hard to find anything based on what we're looking for in the budgets that we have. We've even looked into like purchasing some of my family's land and building like a small house up by my family. The thing with that is my family lives in the middle of nowhere. That's where I grew up. So there's not really anything for, like, we want Ivy and Poppy to be able to be like, to have a community and things like that. And it's just such a small town that that's really hard to find the type of community that we're looking for. I also love my family. Not sure that I want to live on the same exact property as them, you know? As a 36-year-old with my own kids, I don't know that I want to live full-time on the same property as my family. I'm not sure. And to be honest, it wouldn't really save us that much money. So anyways, we've looked into all these weird little options. And then there's also the flowery option of moving back to Raleigh, North Carolina, which is where Ben and I lived for about 3-ish years. We loved it there. We ended up moving back after we had Ivy. I think because we thought it was the right thing to do, not only for her, but for us. We have found out that we miss Raleigh a lot more than we thought we would. The other good thing about Raleigh is that it is much less expensive currently to live there. So you can rent a place that's newer and or just like a good amount of space, like the space that we need, like a 3-bedroom home with a yard, for less, quite a bit less than what we're paying now. Like we easily could find something for $2,000, if not even a little bit less currently. So that's a possibility. And then there's also purchasing in Raleigh, which we gave up by paying off our, sorry, the birds are going crazy outside. Maybe they want me to move back to Raleigh too. We gave up by basically using our down payment to pay off some debt. However, that could still be an option either this year or a following year whenever we get some savings built back up, because you can get a lot more for your money there, even purchasing. Now, you still can't get a spectacular amount for $300 to $350. That would still put us at like a $25-ish, $100 payment a month there, which is higher than what we would be preferring to pay. But there's also the possibility that like rates are gonna go up, or that rates could come down a little bit in the next year, but that means the price of homes will go up and the competition on homes will go up. So I just feel like there's never a good time to buy, except for like a few years ago when everybody bought. And I don't know if there's ever going to be a good time to buy. So we're still having conversations about like, should we buy now and just buy like a smaller home and just like deal with the space issues, but be where we want to be, where we want to build community, which is in North Carolina, and we can afford what we're looking for there? Do we continue to stretch ourselves extremely thin here to rent, but to be close to family? Even that may not be possible because of me not working. Like we're just getting by every month, and that's with a lot of privilege. Like Ben has a very good income and we have a good amount of savings. That's kind of where we're at with things, and that's how we were thinking about why we should pay off a little bit of debt. What is important about that? I feel like I didn't really answer your question on if that means we won't be moving or we will be moving, because I don't think that we still know. We want to have conversations with our family around it, see if they have a better brainstorming idea. I think in the grand scheme of things, if we didn't have debt and if we could afford to stay in Illinois, even though it's not like our dream, we don't love it here. There are, like, we love where we live right now. We love a couple of other suburbs. We would stay in the area if it wasn't going to financially stretch us. Both Ben and I, especially me, grew up in a family that was very stretched by money, and it was always a stressful piece of our life. And I just don't want that for Ivy and Poppy. But like, if Ivy's really interested in piano, I would love to be able to get her piano lessons. If Poppy really wants to be in cheerleading, I would love to get her in cheerleading. There's a possibility that we will either be homeschooling or putting our kids in like more of a private nature-esque type school based on some of our goals for our kids. So we might not even be going into public school. I'm not sure yet. They're not anywhere near school age, so I'm not worried about it, but that might be an expense. So you take all of that into consideration, and we literally cannot afford to stay where we currently are. The only options for us to rent or buy being somewhere outside of Illinois. Without, you have extreme moving, it would be, you know, a good at least $5,000 to move, if not more than that. Again, we would be across the country from our family, which nobody wants. We don't want to be far away from our family. Our family definitely doesn't want us to be far away from them. But our goal and focus should be on creating the life that we want for our kids and for us, right? So you can probably tell by the way that I'm speaking that I have always leaned a certain way. Benjamin leans the same way. He's just been dealing with a lot of like health issues, like mental health issues and physical health issues that make it hard for him to imagine moving again, just like the toll that moving and driving across the country again could do on his health. He's really worried about. Otherwise, we probably would move already. So yeah, we're kind of in a pickle right now. It is April as I'm filming this. Our lease isn't up until September, so we still have time. We're, you know, planning to talk to our family. We're planning to talk to our landlord to see if he would knock any money off of our rent. We're still in talks with community and friends that we have in Raleigh about like purchasing, renting there. We're just keeping our options open. I feel like I went on a big long tangent about the whole home buying process, but that's all within this scenario. We had to lower our expenses, and we thankfully had some money in savings, and we decided to use what we were going to use on a down payment for our debt, because we currently can't purchase exactly what we're looking for right now anyway. Our plan most likely is to rent again, either here in Illinois or back in Raleigh. It really depends financially. Raleigh would make more sense for the monthly payment, but again, with like personal financial health issues, family things going on, that might not happen this year. So I really don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Keep watching my videos. Maybe I'll grow and be like this, you know, shining star making. Some of these people make like $500,000 a month on their YouTube or their stuff, and I'm just like, dude, if I could make $1,000 a month, if I could make $200 a month, like that would be so exciting. So anyways, you never know what could happen. I'm always keeping it open for things to happen and see what comes of it, but we also can't like depend on that right now. So that is my little debt ramble and why we decided to pay off some of our debt. We're very grateful that we were able to do that. We're excited to build our savings back up again, and your guess is as good as mine what's going to come of that. But we just needed to bring a few $100s back into our budget each month, which we were able to do, about $300 a month. So baby's crying, probably means she needs to eat, so I'm gonna go. Thanks if you listened all the way to the end. I love you, you're a real one, and I'll see you in the next video. Mwah.